Another day, another bout of exploring as we try to figure out what to do next. The hell? Right. The power bomb needs ammo too in this game. Ugh, why am I even surprised? Especially with the light and dark beams needing ammo around here. It's not even the first Metroid game we've gone through where the power bomb needs ammo of some kind. Sheesh. Guess I was hoping that on some level at least the game was going to give us some slack, even if the power bomb isn't really all that useful for combat. As I said in one of my previous Metroid LPs, outside of some very specific circumstances, the power bomb is generally best used to just open doors. Most enemies that you might want to use it against are going to wind up being immune to it anyway. Granted, the 3D Metroid games aren't as rough on you as the 2D ones when it comes to enemies being vulnerable to a very specific tool. Still, being able to just use them at will without worrying about running out of power bomb ammo would be appreciated, especially in the game that's been making us look for more healing items and ammo than any of the others in the series. Well, it's going to be a little awkward getting to the other side of the room up here, especially since unlike the 2D games, you can't just jump while in the morph ball to help get to the spider ball track. They put the speed booster on the jump button after all. Still, I can't find it in me to miss the morph ball jump in the 3D games when we don't have to build momentum for the speed boost to activate at all here. I still can't decide if I prefer the 2D games over the 3D ones, since there's just enough differences for me that in some ways it feels like a completely different series. The 2D games are shorter, faster paced, but don't have as much to explore and lore is a lot more sparse in them. The 3D ones, you get a lot more territory to go through, but the backtracking ends up feeling all the worse. Especially since gathering keys is such a big thing compared to the 2D games. Well, hello there! Wish you were a more memorable enemy type, but I suppose a lot of foes fall through the cracks, even bosses. Okay, that's interesting enough to slow down. Huh. I would have thought we'd have seen the Ing take over the undersea life earlier than this, especially since we already had an underwater boss fight just to gain the gravity boost. Interesting that the Ing possessing these things makes them lose the ability to use ranged attacks. Huh, guess we didn't have the speed boost the last time we were here or something. Actually, let's see where that path goes based on where it is right now before we change things up. Okay, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Checking the room if there's anything else? It's always a bit awkward when I don't know what I was thinking when I had the controller in my hands. Okay, interesting placement of spider ball tracks. Not sure how to pull off the boost we're supposed to do in order to reach the other track. We've certainly gotten quite a few close calls here. Possibly my angle was better, or there might have been something else that let us land just where we needed to there. And immediately afterwards, I have to try messing around with the same spot again. They certainly make it awkward to use the thing that we've never had anywhere else in the franchise, and that we're probably never gonna have to do again, as far as I remember. Maybe that's why I don't remember them using it again in Metroid Prime 3. It was finicky as hell, even when we had proper controllers. If you add the insanity of motion controls, you're absolutely screwed. Maybe I'll be more willing to just record Metroid Prime 3 in a hurry if the Switch version for it does away with the whole motion control thing. But with my luck, I'll have already finished recording that by the time the Switch version comes up. All that just to be able to see the door behind the damn statue. Oh, and a missile expansion as well. I suppose that's nice. Still feels like an annoying amount of work when the fact that the door was a power bomb door would have been more than enough of a reason for us not to go through it earlier in the game. Or maybe that's just my sense of exhaustion for this game talking right now. I'm sure the Luminoth are going to be thrilled to learn their filtration systems need a lot of work. Personally, I don't really care that their water is dirty as hell, and they're going to need to find a way to make it drinkable again. We have been fighting their entire war for them for most of the game here, and I haven't seen any sign of them doing anything other than maybe praying that the mysterious warrior from space saves them all. Is that a bit too harsh for them? Okay, an elevator. Here's hoping it leads to something especially important. Either way, it's nice that we've gone through a number of unfamiliar rooms considering how late in the game we are. Always nice to feel like there's a sense of progress instead of us just wandering around and hoping to get lucky, or hoping the game's hint system decides we've taken too long to get to the next major thing. Well, we're back in the fortress. Guess we won't necessarily have to use the spider ball again in order to leave. Again, I wish I knew what the hell Dark Samus was thinking when she decided to destroy that bit of bridge at that particular moment. It was such a minor inconvenience, especially considering how long in the game it's been since she did anything against us before then. She's kind of missing the sense of menace we had from her at the start of the game and when we fought her for the first time. Am I wrong for feeling that part of the story needed better pacing? Because to be fair, I feel like both of the Metroid Prime games we've gone through have had pacing issues, and I'm sure the third Metroid Prime will have the same issues. Most of which revolve around the ridiculous find the keys to open the door to the next major thing, which Metroid Prime 2 does to a far more annoying degree. Hopefully this bit of lore is actually going to be something interesting. It may sound epic on paper for there to be a battle that involves thousands upon thousands, but it's not like we ever get to see anything like that. Again, we haven't actually seen any signs of battle from the Luminoth in many of the places we've been to. Just ancient ruins and the occasional corpse. And there aren't even 100 dead Luminoth on the planet. Or at least the parts of the planet we're actually allowed to go to. It's been a while since we fought one of the spider mechs. It probably says something that I'm more willing to believe these are an anti-Ing weapon than the Ing Smashers. I should probably feel more worried that we're dealing with two at once right now. But we're familiar enough with these things that their biggest issue is how many shots it takes to finish them off, not how to damage them. They're still one of the most interesting enemy types in this game, in my opinion. Not too sure why that decapitated head is able to phase through the floor like that. Hard for me to tell if that's just a glitch or if the robots are meant to be supernatural like that. They were built by space elves after all. Am I supposed to be tempted to use a different kind of beam here? Yeah. The basic power beam might not do all that much damage, but it just feels more reliable to me than the other two beams in this game. The light beam does some good damage against the Ing and a few bosses, but the ammo issue really makes me less willing to use it than I should be in many fights, while the dark beam has many of the same drawbacks as the ice beam from the first Metroid Prime without any of the benefits. Seriously. Slow-moving projectile that has an annoying amount of time before you can launch the next slow-moving projectile. At least the old ice beam could freeze targets in place and make them extra vulnerable to missiles. Not that the dark beam is completely useless, but it just doesn't feel as awesome as it probably should have. I'm trying to decide if a power bomb expansion is more or less meaningful than a missile expansion, especially when I only use the power bomb to open up paths for us instead of an actual weapon in combat. I certainly don't recall anything like the Metroid Queen where setting off a power bomb inside of her stomach was a critical part of how to kill the damn thing in that game. Is it a bad thing that I keep trying to scan things in the background around here? Based on the handle on those windows, I can't help thinking we should be able to rip them off the wall. But that's a trick we just aren't going to be capable of doing in this game. It's something that's introduced to Samus's ability list in Metroid Prime 3. Okay, so opening that door does nothing other than lead us to a place we've already been to. Granted, there's no harm in opening that door, but I'd still like to have some sense that we're making progress instead of just going into another wandering pattern as I try to figure out what's going on and where to go next. And now apparently we got some glass to shatter that I can't shatter because I'm temporarily out of power bombs. Bloody brilliant. Definitely feels like a bad thing that I'm fervently praying that this res bit is going to give us a power bomb in order to use to break that glass in the other room. It just kind of feels like resources are more scarce in this game than the other Metroids we've gone through, which makes it even more frustrating that this game gave us so many different resources to try to keep track of compared to what we usually do in this franchise. And of course, the enemy didn't give us exactly what we hoped for there. Excuse me for cutting back to fast-forwarding through the footage. Ah, so the absolute next one did give us what we wanted, but I'm still pushing towards the nearby save station. I need to craft myself a drink or something, and hey, at least it looks like there's enough space for me to add another bit of raw footage to the clip without worrying about going over half an hour long. Though I suppose my throat isn't going to appreciate this being upwards of 20 minutes, when I possibly could have gotten away with this clip being just over 15. At least the res bits didn't respawn as we were saving. I'll take whatever mercies we can find, especially since I just double-checked how much footage I have left for Metroid Prime 2, and it is a depressing amount. Really feels dumb to me that the answer to a number of puzzles around here is just go to the other version of Aether. I'm trying to remember if Twilight Princess did as bad a job at making the alternate world feel special. Just another thing on my to-do later list. Why do the Ing even feel the need to possess machines that they've already reprogrammed to work for them? Well, that certainly didn't take as long as it generally takes for us to destroy the regular Ing Smashers. Are they oddly less capable when possessed like that? Or was it the fact that I was using the light beam, since Ing are generally weak to that, which made it go by so much faster? Either way, I was not impressed by that thing. Anyway, let's see where this portal leads us, since I don't see any other paths we can take from here. We are literally just bouncing from one state of the world to another like we're switching socks here. Just why in the hell did they feel the need to make it this damn casual to do something that on paper seems like it should be something very special? Am I the only person getting bothered by this? And once again, it looks like we've gone directly from one portal into another. How many more times are we going to change worlds in this clip? And is there anything especially meaningful at the end, or is this just an effort for another frickin' ammo expansion? I should probably have dropped instead of rolling down, but to be fair, it's not like we can control the camera when we're in morph ball mode. I didn't know what we'd be landing on. Anyway, all that for a power bomb expansion. On the one hand, we haven't grabbed anywhere near as many of those as we have missile expansions. On the other hand, dear God, I was hoping for something meaningful instead of just a minor upgrade for the sake of it. Right, time to kill the same set of res bits again. I suppose killing time and hoping the game eventually tells us what to do next is a valid enough strategy, since it's not like I'm trying to beat this game in an especially efficient manner. I'm just seeing what this game has to offer, occasionally feeling that this little change is an improvement over the first Metroid Prime, or that change made things worse. Let's see if we can get to that elevator with the yellow triangle for it. It certainly looks like the nearest unexplored ground for now. Right. Dark ammo full again. Now I've got to see if eventually we'll regain some light ammo before we're done with this clip. Again, I really wish that three-dimensional maps weren't so annoying for me to work with, but then a lot of 3D games I can think of still give us 2D maps. I'm kinda curious what convinced Nintendo to give this kind of map design to the Prime games. It's not like it gives all that much information about the terrain we run into in each room, just the general shapes of them. And even then, I'm relying more on my memory than the map to know to use the power bomb in this particular tunnel to move on. Part of me wants to fast forward through this fight against this recurring enemy. Still, this is a fresh room, and this thing is guarding the path to another room just after it. Not the smoothest way to destroy the body, but it's still certainly something I've been doing more regularly than when I did the first run through spider robots. Still feels fun to take these things down, considering how many I've dealt with in this game. I am way too used to missing at least one energy tank around here. Back to the Argon Wastes then, huh? For some reason, I was expecting whatever we'd get from opening this up would send us somewhere else in the fortress. Hell, the fortress has been the most interesting area in the game so far. I hold no fondness for the wastes or the bog, especially compared to the areas we had to go through in the first Metroid Prime. The Jozo Ruins, Magmore Caverns, and Fendra Drifts all felt rather distinct, like they were their own little ecosystems, even if the game designers didn't really do all that much to make an actually believable ecosystem. The bog and wastes in this game are explicitly about as barren can be, with only the inclusion of water really being much of a difference between them. Okay, looks like there's an unexplored room tucked away in the other direction there. Guess I'm looking for some sign that I'm gonna have to enter this room from the dark version of it. If there was near that Luminorth corpse, then I already grabbed it in this room from the dark version of it. I think I figured out the puzzle here, so let's slow things down a bit. Definitely have a good amount of trouble with the whole speed boost from one track to another thing in this game. Just how many of these jumps do we have to do anyway? Again, All that effort just for another ammo expansion. Part of me wants to say I'm just getting greedy. The other looks at how many clips we're in, and how much searching for major items there is left to do when I get frustrated again. Anyway, I somehow doubt I'm gonna do much else in this clip. For a moment there, I kinda wanted to panic since the way out wasn't quite as obvious as I'd hoped. Still need to get to that green door, but there's a good save point between here and there. Now, if only I had the sense that the green door I'm aiming for is actually going to give us anything worth a damn. Instead, I'm just being hopeful.